Yes, my people, it is your boy VRD, and we are down here for another commentated drive video. We're at Brighton Station, and we are going to be taking in an 8 carriage class 377 Electro Star up to London Victoria. On our journey today, we are going to be calling at Hassocks, Burgess Hill, Hayward Heath, Gatwick Airport, East Croydon, Clapham Junction, and finally London Victoria. I was considering stopping at every station between Brighton and Gatwick Airport, but to be honest, guys, I can't be bothered to do that, so I'm just gonna drive the normal service. We're gonna jump into the back cab and get straight into it. So just entering the rear cab here, configuring these gangway doors correctly. Sorry, I just had to check that I was recording. I get very paranoid. I always feel like I'm not recording, even though I clearly pressed the recording button. Better safe than sorry though. Setting the driver reminder appliance, just ensuring there's no master key inserted, F&R switch is in the off position, PBC is in the brake step 3 position, also known as full service, and our tail light switch is in the auto position, and the headlight switch is in the off position, which is perfect. The rear cab has been configured correctly. Gonna exit the rear cab and just ensure that we have 2 red tail lights being displayed, which we do. So we can now make our way up to the other end, and this is extremely close to the buffer stops. Yeah, I don't know, whoever was driving this train beforehand was very close to disaster right there. Yeah, you never want to stop that close to buffer stops. It's, I believe it's 6 feet. Yeah, 6 feet from the buffer stops is where you want to be stopped at. We're due out of Brighton station in about 8 minutes time, so we're not in too much of a rush here. Entering the front cab now, just configuring these gangway doors correctly. This was a 12 carriage train beforehand, but the front 4 carriages have just literally just now split off, and they've most likely gone into the depot over there. So that's why everything was configured like this. I'm gonna start by coming over to the safety systems isolation panel, turning the AWS driver safety device and vigilance isolation switches into the vertical normal positions. I'm then going to set the driver reminder appliance, sit in the driver's seat, take command of the service. I'm going to insert the master key, move the FNR switch into the neutral position, and acknowledge the AWS self-test sequence by pressing the AWS acknowledgement button. Just like so. Now I'm going to turn the headlight switch into the day running position. I'm going to come over to the TMS. I'm going to click PIS. I'm then going to click up a few times to scroll straight to the bottom of the list. And then we scroll to London Victoria, click confirm location, click exit. So everything should be configured correctly. I'm gonna release the passenger doors on the left hand side here and just look at the front of our train to ensure that everything's being displayed correctly, which it is. Destination display reads London Victoria. We have our brighter headlight shining from the non-driver's side and our not so bright LED style light shining from the driver's side, which is the day running configuration. And now we sit here and wait for our scheduled departure time of 10:03. So I will catch you guys in a bit. And by the way, if you're wondering why I'm playing on Train Sim Mode 3, even though it says Train Sim Mode 4 in the title, it's because I can't be bothered to reinstall the London Commuter DLC onto Train Sim Mode 4. I just don't see the point of it, although I probably should. I'll do it at some point, but I just haven't done it yet. So that's why I'm playing on I'm playing on Train Sim Mode 3 at the moment. The only DLCs I have installed on Train Sim Mode 4 are the East Coast Main Line and the Southeastern High Speed, because the Southeastern High Speed had an update. So yeah, I will catch you guys at 10:02 a.m. in game time. Right, so we are down to 60 seconds prior to our departure time. Our platform starter signal has cleared to a green aspect with a letter M in the theatre box indication. So I'm going to reset the driver reminder appliance. Letter M tells us that we've been routed onto the Up Brighton Fast, which is our desired line. I'm gonna open the window here and poke my head out. And we're down to 30 seconds prior to our departure time, so I'm going to press the door close button. Of course, you could look at the CCTV monitors as well, but I'm just gonna spice things up and look back along the platform. Yep, everything seems to be fine, but I can't actually see all the way down to the back of the train because of the curvature. In reality, you'd have a member of staff on the platform to aid you with the departure process, but we don't have that in train sim mode. Gonna close the window. Our door interlock lights have illuminated. I'm just gonna glance at the CCTV monitors a final time. Moving the FNR switch into forward, and I'm gonna test the hill start button. So what I'm gonna do is hold in the hill start button, move the PBC into the off position, observe a brake cylinder gauge reading of 1 bar. I'm still holding in the hill start button, selecting power notch 1, waiting for about a second, releasing the hill start button, and that brake cylinder gauge reading should fall to 0. Once it does so, upping the power to power notch 2. Speed limit departing Brighton station is 25 miles an hour. However, if you're negotiating the point, excuse me, if you're negotiating the point work just outside of Brighton station, you'd want to be doing 15 miles an hour because the turning radius over those points are very tight. A train can't really be taking those points at 25 miles an hour, so just bear that in mind. Because we just had a straight exit out of Brighton station, it was okay for us to be doing 25. If we were coming out of platform 3, for example, we'd have to go over a set of points, so we'd be doing 15 miles an hour if we were exiting from platform 3. So we've got up to 25 miles an hour. I've moved the PBC back into the off position. We passed a board with the number 40 on it, so once the rear of our train has cleared that board, we will be clear to accelerate up to 40 miles an hour. However, a running brake test needs to be performed at 30 miles an hour. You always perform a running brake test after departing from the first station of your trip. So the rear of our train should now be clear of that 40 board. I'm going to select power notch 2 just to bring us up to 30 miles an hour at a controllable rate. Speed limit is now increasing to 75 miles an hour. But up to 30 miles an hour, I'm moving the PBC into the off position. And to perform the running brake test, you simply select brake step 2, observe your speed fall by 10 miles an hour, release your brakes, and that's it. So we should now be clear of the 75 board, so I'm just going to select full power. Yep, full steam ahead. Next station is Hassocks. Apologies for the sniffing there. This is Preston Park Station that we're passing through. We're up to 70 miles an hour, so I am gonna reduce the power to power notch 3, and that's just to reduce the rate of acceleration to prevent us from exceeding 75 miles an hour. The speed limit is about to go up to 90 miles an hour, so by reducing the power a bit, we can delay the train's acceleration. So by the time we reach 75 miles an hour, we'll be clear of the 90 board. So we just passed the 90 board now. This is Patcham Tunnel. And I'm going back into full power. Speed limit is now 90 miles an hour. and we're about 3 or 4 miles out from Hassocks Station. We're also currently climbing up the South Downs. So between Preston Park and Clayton Tunnel, which is the next tunnel we'll be passing through, we're on a fairly moderate climb. Once we enter Clayton Tunnel, we'll be descending. This is a route that I know very well because it is my local route. I'm not gonna say which part of the route I live I live next to, but I do live next to this route in real life. I can literally hear the trains going past my house. So yeah, when this route came to Trains in World, I just had to get my hands on it, and I've been constantly driving on it ever since it got released. So I literally know it like the back of my hand. I could drive it with my eyes closed, and that is not an exaggeration. Okay, maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but still. Alright, so we're entering the Clayton Tunnel now, and we're up to about 89 miles an hour, so I'm going to move the PBC into the off position. And we're on a very shallow downward gradient at the moment, so the momentum of the train along with gravity should maintain us at 90 miles an hour. However, at the next signal that we're going to pass, I'm going to make a brake step 1 application to start decelerating for Hassocks Station. So that's the second signal inside of Clayton Tunnel. You can see it coming up now, getting my brake step 1 application in. So around the AWS magnet associated with that signal is a good place to get a brake step 1 application in for Hassocks Station. That will bring you down for Hassocks Station on a fairly decent deceleration curve. Apologies. There's a 4-carriage Littlehampton service heading towards Preston Park. We're down to 50 miles an hour. I can just about see the platforms of Hassocks Station in the distance. Brake step 1 seems to be doing the job for now, but I might need to either release the brakes or select brake step 2, depending on how fast or slow we enter the platform. Down to 35 miles an hour. I'm aiming to enter the platforms at about 25. 30 miles an hour, so I'm gonna select brake step 2 momentarily. Now that we're down to 25, back down to brake step 1. Stopping position for 8-carriage trains at Hassocks Station is this PIS board coming up. I'm gonna momentarily select brake step 2, back down to brake step 1, trying to have that in the window, up to brake step 2 momentarily again, and back down to brake step 1 for the stop. Now that we're at a stand, brake step 3, F and R switch into neutral, and we have a door release on the left. We are currently in the leaf fall season, so I am trying to avoid braking too hard, and the same with the acceleration as well. I'm going to be a bit more gentle on the acceleration as opposed to just going straight into power notch 4. I'm going to be stepping up the power a bit. Right, we have a green signal. Just glancing at the CCTV monitors here, pressing the door close button. Our door interlock lights have illuminated. A final glance of the signal and the CCTV monitors, F and R switch into forward, and we're on a downward gradient departing from Hassocks in the northbound direction, so we don't need the whole start button. So I'm gonna release the brakes and select power notch 1, making sure that the brake cylinder gauge reading falls to 0. up to power notch 2, power notch 3, just being a bit more gentle in the acceleration, and power notch 4. Next station is Burgess Hill. I'm gonna have some water quickly, guys, so apologies if you can hear the water in the background. We're up to about 75 miles an hour, and just before passing underneath this bridge coming up, I'm gonna make a brake step 1 application. So I've shut off the power, making a brake step 1 application now, and that brings you down into Burgess Hill on a very, very decent deceleration curve. Excuse me. Can see the platforms of Burgess Hill approaching. We are coming in a bit on the hot side, so I'm gonna up the braking force to brake step 2 momentarily, down to 40 miles an hour, 35 into the platform, so I'm gonna hang about in brake step 2 for a bit longer, down to 22.5 miles an hour, so I'm gonna reduce it to brake step 1. Stopping position is at the end of the platform, luckily, so we can get away with a high entry speed into the platform. Gonna momentarily release the brakes just to crawl up towards the stopping position, back into brake step 1, just aiming to have that S board in the window. Releasing again, brake step 1, releasing, brake step 1. Brake step 3, neutral, door release on the left. Right, we have a green signal down there in the distance. It's a bit of a unique platform starter signal here at Burgess Hill in the London direction. The signal's all the way down there. In fact, I think it's the same in the Brighton direction as well. The signal's a bit of a way away from the platform. So glancing at the CCTV monitors, pressing the door close button. Door interlock lights have illuminated. Glancing at the signal final time alongside the CCTV monitors. F and R switch into forward. I'm on fairly level terrain, so I'm not going to use the hill start button. Releasing the brakes, selecting power notch 1. As that brake cylinder gauge reading, it doesn't have to be on 0 when you select power notch 1, but make sure it's below 1 bar, and obviously make sure it falls to 0 before selecting any other notch of power. So power notch 2. Power notch 3. Power notch 4. Full steam ahead. Next station is Haywards Heath, and the speed limit is still 90 miles an hour. It's going to be 90 miles an hour for quite a while. This is Wivelsfield Station. We are not stopping here. Excuse me, I need to stop doing that. Right, so shortly after passing the next signal, I'm going to get my brake step 1 application in for Haywards Heath Station. For reference, it will be the signal with a single yellow signal adjacent to it. So this signal here, the signal next to it will almost always be displaying a single yellow aspect. So that's how you know where to get your brakes in. So shortly after passing that, you can make a brake step 1 application. That brings you down to Haywards Heath. This is Haywards Heath Tunnel. I think it's also known as Folly Hill Tunnel. We're down to 50 miles an hour. Haywards Heath in the London direction is on an upward gradient as well, so our brakes are going to be a bit more effective than normal. So we can get away with a slightly higher entry speed into the platform. Although that being said, the stopping position for 8 carriage trains at Haywards Heath in the London direction is about halfway along the platform. So I'm going to up the braking force to brake step 2 momentarily, back down to brake step 1. The stop board is just next to this lift here. So I've released the brakes there, back into brake step 1, releasing again, up to brake step 1, releasing, brake step 1. Perfect. Full service or brake step 3. Neutral, we have a door release on the left. Green signal, glancing at the CCTV monitors, pressing the door close button. Door interlock lights have illuminated. A final glance of the signal and the CCTV monitors, and we're on a bit of an upward gradient, so I'm going to use the hill start button. F&R switch into forward, holding in the hill start button. Power notch 1, releasing the hill start button. Power notch 2, power notch 3, and power notch 4. Next station is Gatwick Airport. We're now passing over Balkan Viaduct. This is more commonly known as the Ouse Valley Viaduct. I think it's officially known as the Ouse Valley Viaduct, matter of fact. It's a beautiful structure. I'm not going to go into the outside view because I like to keep things nice and realistic, but yeah, go on Google Images, search up Balkan Viaduct or Ouse Valley Viaduct. You will see the masterpiece that we just drove over. It is insane. Right, so we're more or less doing 90 miles an hour and we're about to pass through Balcombe Station. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the off position on the PBC once we get to the end of Balcombe platform. The reason I'm doing that is because we have an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit coming up in about a mile's time, a mile and a half's time. So um by shutting off the power this far back, it allows the momentum of our train to naturally die off, and that brings us down for the 80-mile-an-hour speed limit without us needing to apply the brakes. It just provides a smoother ride for the passengers, and it also cuts down on the wear and tear of the train's brakes. So you can see we've already decelerated down to 85 miles an hour. We are on a bit of an upward gradient. This is Balcombe Tunnel, and the 80-mile-an-hour speed limit commences on the other side of Balcombe Tunnel. So we're more or less down to 80 miles an hour now. You can see the 80 board coming up. Yep, speed limit is now 80 miles an hour, and I'm going to select power notch 2 just to maintain 80 miles an hour. The speed limit only lasts for a short it only applies to a short section of track. It just allows us to negotiate this right hand curve safely. On the exit of this right hand curve, speed limit goes back up to 90 miles an hour. You can see that we just passed the 90 board now, so just waiting for the back of our train to clear that board, which it should have done by now. So I'm gonna go back into full power. We are now, however, on a fairly shallow downward gradient, so I'm not going to accelerate all the way up to 90 miles an hour. I'm going to shut off the power at about 87.5 miles an hour, and gravity should bring us up to 90 miles an hour. By the time we get up to 90 miles an hour, we'll be ready to make a brake application for Gatwick Airport Station. This is Three Bridges Station that we're passing through now. And we also just passed the Thameslink depot at Three Bridges. The Class 700 Zero cities are stabled there and maintained there. However, we don't have Class 700s on the Brighton main line in trains and road yet, unfortunately. I think that's ridiculous. The developers need to make a full length unit and implement it into the Brighton main line in trains and road. right away. We have the reduced length unit, but that that naturally belongs on the Southeastern High Speed DLC. In reality, you would see reduced length units between Gatwick Airport and East Croydon on the Brighton mainland. South of Gatwick Airport, you're only going to be seeing full length units. So we really need a full length unit for trains in mode right now. Anyway, as we approach this signal here, I'm going to make a brake step 1 application to start decelerating for Gatwick Airport. So for reference, that is, I think that's 2 signal spacings after 3 bridges. So once you pass through 3 bridges, there's a signal at the end of 3 bridges platform. There's a signal after that. The signal after that is where you get your brake step 1 application in. Here's the signal protecting Gatwick Airport station. And you can see Gatwick Airport station in the distance there. We're down to 50 miles an hour. And I'm going to up the braking force to brake step 2. Not yet, but in a second. About now. Just to bring us down for 30 miles an hour into the platform. We're down to 30 miles an hour when we're entering the platform, so I've reduced the braking force back down to brake step 1. The stopping position for 8 carriage trains at Gatwick Airport, platform 4 in the London direction, is a pillar with the number 4 on top of it. So you can see that coming up now. So brake step 1 seems to be doing the job. I'm going to remain in brake step 1. In fact, I'm going to up it to brake step 2 momentarily. Back down to brake step 1. Perfect. Brake step 3, neutral, and we have a door release on the left.